Are you feeling like you are questioning your self-worth? Well, today I'm going to pull back the curtain of why I've been feeling kind of like I've had an identity crisis and why you might be feeling that way too.
Hey there, gorgeous, and welcome to the Influence Over 40 podcast. I'm your host, Annie Kilko, and this is your go-to podcast for navigating the empty nest era with confidence and entrepreneurial spirit. I'm that crazy dog mama adjusting to life after kids and quite honestly, still trying to figure out what I want to do for a living. I'm a former boutique owner and seasoned mompreneur, and this show is dedicated to empowering women just like me, over 40, to embrace their unique journeys and thrive in the digital age. Join me for inspiring discussions on confidence building tips, mindset work, social media strategies, and how to be successful as an introvert and essential business tools. I'll also give you the real scoop on whether I think the latest and greatest digital way to make money is the real deal or a huge waste of time and dollars. Whether you're looking to reinvent yourself or take your business to new heights, I'm here to help you chase your dreams and be unapologetically and authentically yourself online. Follow the Influence Over 40 podcast and don't miss out on all the valuable tips and tools to make your business journey and 2.0 era easier.
Hey there, gorgeous, and welcome back to another episode of Influence Over 40. I'm so glad that you are here again today. So, man, there's a lot to unpack in today's episode. So, I'll kind of give you some backstory as to how this event, words are hard, how this even came about for me today. And so I had, and I have some notes here in front of me, so I will be looking at those a little bit. But if you're watching on the YouTube, I had dinner with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and it's a friend of mine that I made when I worked at Geico, and we've been friends for over 20 years. I mean, it's our kids were very little when we met and became fast friends. And we had a very similar career at Geico as far as, how we continued through, working on the phone with customers to moving into supervision and whatnot. And so we were just kind of talking because recently, in the last year to 2 years, that company has gone through a complete change, and they no longer are, it seems to be, no longer wanting to maybe be as in the car insurance industry. And regardless, doesn't really matter. That's not really the point of it. The point is they've gone through massive layoffs. And while I wasn't included in those layoffs because I had left Geico 5 years prior, she was included in those layoffs. And we just got to talking because we both, she had gotten laid off almost a year ago, and I had, or I guess it's been over a year ago at this point, and I had closed my store very close to the same time that she got laid off. And so we had both been approaching about a year where we, hadn't been, working the same job that we were doing prior. And we got to talking about it and just really kind of into why we were feeling the way that we were feeling. And we were both struggling still with a feeling of self-worth and not feeling like we were worthy, whether that was worthy of having a job that makes money or, possibly that even lends itself to feeling like not worthy of love, acceptance, all kinds of things. And so we, of course, had a long discussion about it, and it got me thinking today about, myself, how my experience there, how it impacted me, how her experience impacted her. And then even so much as thinking about my husband and his experience and how it impacted him. And they're all very different experiences. And I'm going to kind of briefly go through all three. However, because of the place that we worked, because of the conditioning that we had from being at this place of employment for so long, it all has ended up impacting us pretty much the same. And so I kind of want to just go through that a little bit. So I'll start with my particular experience. And if you've listened to the podcast before, or you know me personally, you know that I was at that place for 21 years. I had held several different jobs within, the corporation, and done everything that I thought I pretty much needed to do for this place. Well, the way things ended up, I ended up leaving the corporation. I put my 2 weeks in. I left willingly because I was ready to start something new and move on to opening my boutique. And it's very different, is pretty voluntary. However, even though that's in fact what I wanted, it did come at a time out of a stressful situation. So my husband's situation was different. He was at Geico for 19 years, and his situation was different, and he left because of some things that had happened. A way that the company, he felt, I agree 100%, did not treat him right, did not do the right thing by him, and therefore he chose and made a decision to leave. And then my friend and many of people that I worked with, I always say grew up with, because we did. I mean, we started in our 20s. We were, she was, I think, probably 18, 19 when she started. I was 21. I think Kent was 20. And so we were still babies, even though, you feel like that's adulthood. Looking back at the age that I am now, 48, almost 49, like that's a baby. We were just babies back then. And so we all kind of grew up in this environment together, and you can't help but have it shape you. There's just no way around it. And it absolutely did. And so her experience is that she was there, gosh, I think it was, I can't remember the exact years, but I think she was there, might have been 28 years. I mean, it was a long time, because she was there a couple of years before I started, and then was there a good, 5 years after me. So that's probably about the right timeline. And so growing up there, they really conditioned us. And when I say, conditioned us, we were young, and they taught us how they wanted us to be. And when I say that, I mean there was a constant grind and a constant hustle. It was never an environment of slow pace. Let me just tell you that. And maybe most corporations are like this. That's really the only one that I've worked for. So I guess I don't have the experience to say. And I understand that corporations such as that have quotas to meet, or it's a phone center type of thing, or you've got, so many things that you're making or turning out, or, whatnot. I get that there are going to be goals that need to be met, but my educated guess is that this was an environment unlike any other. And like when we were in it, I think most of us knew that it on some level was a little bit toxic. And I think that there are some who, like, my husband, for example, he didn't feel like it was in a toxic situation at all. He very much thrived in that. He loved the fact that he liked to know, about having goals. And, when you meet this goal, then there's going to be another goal put out. And that was the environment. They taught us that, it's one, there's always going to be a goal, that every single day that you come in, you're pushing to meet a goal. And it's not that you're just pushing to meet a goal. It's that you're being ranked against other people in this particular goal. So it's always this competition. If you thrive on that, you're going to do really well. But if you don't thrive in a situation where it's based on kind of that competition, then you're not going to do great with that. But they definitely taught us that you always had this goal to meet, and you always knew that once the goal was met, you got a very brief pat on the back, and then the goal was raised. So now let's do even more. Good, you hit that one, great. Let's do even better and hit even more. And, surface level, I think, there's some of that is okay, because I understand as a person and as a company, you always want to like grow and you always want to stretch and push yourself to do more. But when you are in that type of an environment where that is all that you are ever doing, it gets to be a point where you are like, where's the line? Like, where's the finish line? Is there ever going to be a finish line? And no, there was never, ever, ever going to be a finish line. And that can be really hard. It can be really hard, one, that you are constantly being compared. When we talk about like the comparison that you get from, social media, man, it didn't start there for us. It started with where we were working. Where we were working was a constant comparison. You were compared to the people that were on the same grade as you or doing the same job that you were doing. You were compared against, if you were a supervisor, you were compared against other supervisors, managers, and so forth. As a region, you were compared in the company to the other regions. Like, there was a number to measure everything, and there was a focus on everything at all times. It was always a focus on everything, but yet there were always things that were more important, and then those things were always changing. So it was really hard, but they did a great job of really conditioning us to understand and to know that that was normal. That was normal, and that's how it was. And that conditioning, that competition, that comparison, it meant, how much do you get paid? How, are you going to get a raise or not? And, are you going to have additional opportunities or not? And they conditioned you to think that these were the only options and that they were the only options. They conditioned us to think that we would never make as much money as we were there. Especially if you were somebody like me who didn't have a degree, then man, this was a good deal, right? And, I don't want to sit here and say that it wasn't, because it did provide very well for me and for my family for a very long time, but it came at a cost. It came at a cost of putting them first. And because I put this company first, because they conditioned me to believe that I needed to be loyal, and being loyal meant I needed to put them first. I needed to, I missed so many school things, guys. I can't even tell you all the things that I never went to and experienced with my son because I had to do work. I had to do work. I had to be at work. They needed me. Or, they also conditioned me to believe that, to be responsible, to be a responsible mom, you needed to save your vacation, because what happens if your child gets sick? What happens if they have some sort of disaster and you have to be off with them and you need to use your vacation to take care of them because, you're going to want to get paid. You don't want to not get paid while you're out because your children are sick or something's happened. And so they conditioned us from that standpoint to not take your vacation, like to not go do these things for your children. I miss so much of life that I can't get back. And you can't help but now, in the situation that I am now, being 48 now, realizing, and as I'm going through this deconditioning process, realizing I really missed out on a lot of things. And that sucks. It sucks on a lot of levels. It's hurtful. It's sad. It's emotional. And, it's a lot to go through. And, when you're thinking about, well, what does this have to do with like self-worth or your identity? But when you go from your identity is this particular company, I am a supervisor here, I'm a manager here, or, I work in the internet unit or whatever it is that's tied to that particular company or corporation, when it's gone, what does that mean for you? What does that mean? Does that mean that I no longer have an identity? Does that mean that because I don't have that identity of that corporation, that then that's my self-worth also? And And that's really hard. And I think we've all gone through that process or are currently going through that process in trying to decondition ourselves from that toxic behavior, from that toxic thought process that was our identity. And, she and I really sat down and kind of we were talking through this. And I think it was feeling that you didn't have that identity. It comes across in different ways. It can come across in like depression, anxiety. I think for me, I did go through a depression state of I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and not just leaving, that place, but like when I shut my store down, once I shut my store down, my identity was very tied to that boutique. I was the face of Southern Crush Boutique. It was me. It was me constantly out there in front of people, saying this is a great outfit and you should buy this and you need this and stuff like that. And so once that was gone and it was done, while it was my decision to do that, I didn't understand who was I meant to be at that point. That was my identity. And it's the same thing for like, my husband when he left, or my friend when she got laid off. That was their identity. Their identity was working mom, working dad, manager or supervisor. And now you don't have that. It's what is my identity? And it's a really hard thing to go through. And, it was the conditioning that we had, it was taught on such a level of, even if you had thought about going somewhere else, it would be brought up that you'll never go somewhere and get paid like we do. You won't have the type of opportunities that you have here, even though knowing good and well in the back of our head, the opportunities were few and far between, but we were so conditioned to be loyal that it got us. It got us, and we absolutely stayed, because of that. And I know that it's not true, because we have plenty of friends who have been laid off by this company that have gone on to find other opportunities that they are loving, they are thriving in. And it's kind of like a mind blown emoji, basically, right? Where we're like, how is this true? And would this have been true 15 years ago? Or is it now just because like COVID happened and, there are more opportunities from working from home and different things? Companies had to change the way that they were doing things. Is it because of that? So would that have happened back then? Or is that just something that's happening now that makes that a possibility? Either way, it's still kind of a mind blown, situation to think that those were opportunities. But we were so conditioned to feel that way. And then it was reinforced, I feel like, by our parents, and not through any fault of theirs, because the way that they were brought up was, go to school, get a good job, find a job with a pension, retire, right? Work there your entire life and then retire. And that's the way, their parents were wanting more for them, which is, their parents were basically just get a good job and, with a pension and retire. Whereas for their kids, they wanted them to go to school, get a good job, find a pension, work your whole life, retire. And that trickled down to us. They taught us, go to school, get a good job, find a job with a company that's got a pension, work your life away and then retire. And that we were so conditioned to do that from this company and then reinforced by our parents that we didn't seek any other opportunities. We were promised opportunities with this particular company, so we didn't seek any other opportunities. And that's why once this is over, that's a big reason as to why we are then questioning, what is our identity and am I worthy? What is my self-worth? Is it tied to this? And if it's not tied to this any longer, what does that mean for my self-worth? And, it's something that I think we really have to talk about, because she and I got to talking about that and it just kind of light bulbs started going off a little bit. And, we we then realized, or we're talking through it and realized that, you really have to disconnect yourself from that mindset. And that is not an easy thing to do. It can put you into a depression. It can cause anxiety. I think a lot of us, and even in that particular job, a lot of us had those emotions. So first of all, depression, anxiety, are those diagnoses? Yes. But they're also emotions. And a lot of us were medicating to avoid those particular emotions. And even now, after leaving a particular company or not being in that situation, might still be medicating to, deal with those particular emotions. And not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that. However, I think sometimes we have to feel those emotions to be able to work through them, deal with them, and move past them. Or I should say, from my experience, that's what I have experienced. I was on an antidepressant, anxiety medication for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. And it was when I worked there. And it wasn't necessarily because of that. I'm sure that's probably part of it. I was also dealing with my mother going through breast cancer, her passing away. So, that was part of it. But when I decided it was time to come off of that, I came off of that. And that's kind of when I came off of that is when I really found other ways to deal with it. And I'm not saying that this is going to work for anyone or everyone, but it also may be something that, would work for you. But I mostly just wanted to have this conversation to tell you that if you are having those feelings of the identity crisis, or you're having the feelings of, not having a self-worth, there's a reason why. First of all, there's a reason why you're feeling that way. So we got to figure out, why are you feeling that way? Are you in the same situation that, we were, and your identity was very tied to a company that I told her, I feel like they used us up and spit us out. When we were no longer needed anymore, they just spit you out. And that is no fault of ours. We were loyal. We did what we were told. We were, the only reason that business ever kept going as well as it did is because it conditioned all of us at such a young age to be so loyal. And we were loyal. And now we have got to decondition ourselves, because nobody's going to do it for us, right? And there's no quick fix to this. There's no quick way through this, which is why she and I were talking about the fact that it's been a year, and you would think after a year we would feel differently. Like, I think when it happened, people understood that was devastating, but I don't know that they understood how devastating. Like, they understood financially how it could be devastating. When you go from making, $85,000 a year, $100,000 a year, whatever that number is, to now maybe getting some sort of, severance package possibly, to $0. You're now making $0. You're freaking out because how are you supposed to make your house payment? How are you supposed to help, put your kids through college? How you do all the things that you need to do? There's that anxiety, right? And I think people could understand that anxiety. What I don't think everyone understood is the anxiety then of not knowing who you are, because you were so tied to being that at that company that now you don't have that there is a depression. You have to separate that identity from who you really truly are and what you're meant to be. And they're just emotions. And my belief is that you have to feel those emotions and work through them. And believe me, I am an emotions girl. Everything is emotional. I have super highs, I have super lows. And it's so funny actually that I'm thinking about it now, because, we've always said that actually, I'm really cracking myself up. It just came to me that, we would always say somebody like that they're bipolar. They're bipolar, right? You're either up here or you're way down there. Well, like, my human design as a manifester, I have emotional waves. Every single person does. They might be different in how they come and how quickly they come and how high and how low that they are, but everybody has an emotional wave to them. And as a manifester, mine is literally wake up one day, I'm super up here, and then the next day I could wake up and I could be super down here. And matter of fact, last Friday I woke up and literally, oh sorry guys, my computer's falling. Literally, when I woke up last Friday, my body was buzzing. I was literally buzzing on a high. It's going to be a great day. This is the best Friday energy ever. I was, sending out Facebook messages, texting people, making Facebook posts. I was doing Instagram reels. I was just bada bing, bada boom, feeling good. And then Saturday woke up and I was like, really still wish I had that Friday feeling. But that's just the way that I'm humanly built to be, and that's okay. And so I think that, you have to be willing to do the hard work. You have to be willing to feel those emotions to be able to deal with them. And I think so many of us, medicate to not feel those emotions. We sleep to try to not feel those emotions. Maybe we push those emotions down, or I used to say I eat my emotions, and I do, because I am an emotional eater. If I'm stressed, if I'm happy, if I'm sad, I love food, y'all. I just love food. I love to eat. And so, maybe you're eating those emotions. Maybe you're a smoker. Maybe you're doing drugs to help keep those emotions away, or maybe it manifests in, causing chaos in your life or in the life of others. All of those are just masking your emotions. They're not alleviating them. Medication is not alleviating that emotion. And again, I am in no way, shape, or form am I trained in any way in any kind of medical practice or training or counseling. Okay, I just want to put that out there. These are all just my thoughts, my feelings, and how the work that I've done to move through these particular things, and just voicing it to see that if it possibly resonates with somebody else. So I think that, there are a lot of options that you have to work through these. I think you can find really great therapists. I think you can find great, coaches, life coaches, courses, digital courses, groups, church groups, whatever resonates with you. I think there are a lot of different options out there for you to find a community or a way to work through these feelings. And when I say work through these feelings, I'm talking about you got to figure out why you feel this way. What is causing you to feel this way? And that's going to mean digging deep. It's going to mean healing wounds that have happened. And, you might have things that come up and you're just like, where did that come from? And it's crazy that the way that it works, but it kind of all comes for full circle, and it does make you feel better. And that's not to say that you're always going to feel better, but it is a way to learn why you feel that way, to find a way to cope with that and deal with that. That's a healthy way to feel the feeling, to move through it, because feelings will pass, right? Just like my Friday feeling. My Friday feeling was like, wow, this is a Friday feeling. I am buzzing. And the next day I was like, those are just emotions. And those emotions, if you feel them, they will pass. They will pass. And I know sometimes that is hard, but I promise you that they will. And there's different things that you can do besides just, getting into some sort of groups or doing counseling or, going to church or whatever it is, talking with friends. There are all types of options. And, I know I talk about journaling a lot, and I do love to journal. I love to write. I'm just naturally a writer. That's how I learn best, is by, reading it, writing it down, writing notes, and then kind of going over it and going over it and going over it. But writing is definitely one of the ways for me. And so I do love to journal out my thoughts and my feelings. What I have realized as my manifesting, human design manifestor type, is that I also I'm an informer. Okay. That is my strategy, is by informing. So when a creative urge hits me, or there's something that I decide that I want to do, I need to inform on it. And it's not asking for permission. It's literally just putting it out there. So, telling you I'm doing a podcast and I'm working on these things. That's one of the things, that's one of the ways that I inform. So I found that just speaking out loud, meditating is obviously, a great way. I will say that for a very anxious mind, meditating can be difficult. Like sitting very quietly with your thoughts that could just sound like nails on a chalkboard for some of you, right? And for me, sometimes I have no problem doing that. For other times, it's not. I can't quiet my mind either. So when I do meditate, I usually make sure that I have a meditation song on so that there's something in the background. Or really what works even better is making sure I'm doing a guided meditation. What I have found is I do have to find one that I resonate with, because not all voices are ones that you feel like sound good to you. And that's completely okay. But you got to find one that you like, that you resonate with, that makes sense to you. A guided meditation is fantastic for somebody who has a very active mind to help you quiet that, because you've got somebody telling you what to do. Can be an easier way to do meditation. I don't know if you've ever heard about tapping, but tapping is a great way to move energy in the body, to meditate on things. That's a way to do it. You can do walking. Like that's a meditation, guys. You can do a guided meditation, like literally while you're walking the dogs and just out in nature. Being out in nature is so good for your health. First of all, it's so good for the mental health to be outside. Like vitamin D, our bodies literally need vitamin D from the sun. So getting outside for 15 or 20 minutes a day, taking the dogs for a walk by yourself, turning your do not disturb on and putting a guided meditation or like just a meditating music on, and, thinking and really connecting to what it is that you're seeing out there. You're seeing, the beautiful trees, maybe the leaves turning colors. We have these beautiful yellow, bright butterflies. First of all, we have these pretty Mexican tulips. I don't know if you've ever heard about a Mexican tulip. I did not. That's not my thing. I like fake plants. That's what I can keep alive. But Kent planted these Mexican tulips in our backyard, and they are huge. They're huge, and our hummingbirds love them, and we have these beautiful bright yellow butterflies that love them. And so it's like my own little personal butterfly garden. It's like a little sanctuary right there. And I just go out there and the dogs are running around. And a lot of times they're just sunbathing. They're just laying in the sun, enjoying it. And I'm walking over to that area and just looking at like the nature, like being one with it. And I know that sounds completely ridiculous and very out there and woo woo. And trust me, I can't do it for a lot of time, but just kind of thinking about, man, like, look at these beautiful colors, how vibrant they are. Look at these, because the tulips are a beautiful purple. And it just, I don't know, there's something about that connection to the earth is, it's very tranquil. And that's the word I think that comes to me from that. But, dancing, if you love to dance, you can do a slow dance. I've got one of these songs on a list. There was a meditation list that I downloaded from somebody, and one of the songs on there, I don't know the exact name of it, but it's I think it's Dancing on My Own. I can't think of who sings it, but when it comes on, I'm just like, and usually it comes on, I'm listening to it while I'm at the gym, and I'm like, I just want to scream it from the top of my lungs. And if I'm at home, then I can put that on. I can do that. So if I have some nervous energy or just some energy, I feel like I need to move in my body, or like not feeling right with myself, put that on and just like dance around and literally scream that to the top of my lungs. Makes me feel better sometimes. Sometimes that's all you need. Massages, that's a great way. Go in and have a nice, relaxing massage. You can have energetic, massages, the Reiki massages. If you've never done that, and if you believe in that, you got to believe in that to be able to do that. But I've done one of those before. It's very, very healing, and it felt great. And you just have to find what resonates with you. So I'm going to attach some journal prompts. I'm going to attach a couple of different things, I'm hoping, for you. Some journal prompts of things that you can think on or write out. A lot of times what I've been doing in my journal prompts recently is not writing them down, but just saying them out loud, because that seems to be enough for me right now. At one point in time, I would journal a lot, and I think it's because I was journaling when I was at work on breaks, or always journaling when, I am out at the house and I have a little bit of time to myself, but it's not fully by myself. Like the kids are still there, or my husband could still bust in at any time. So journaling felt safer for me. But I am, through this process of learning, becoming more confident in myself and in what I'm meant to do and in my identity and my self-worth, that I am feeling like I can answer those journal prompts out loud. And now I still love to write, so I will go do that at times. But for right now, that's what feels good for me. And I will do it. Kent, he probably thinks I'm a little bit crazy, and that's okay. Because I'll be talking to myself in the shower. Like I'm literally talking out loud. Like normally I always have the inner monologue going in my head, always 100%. Hopefully I'm not the only one that does that. I don't think that I am. But now I am speaking some of that monologue out loud, practicing speaking out loud, informing, because that is my strategy for my human design. So I'm practicing that through my journal prompts and just through everything in life that I want. I am speaking it out loud. And it's started in the shower when I take a shower. So if he's in there, I'm talking a little bit, lower, but I've started getting a little bit louder. And now if he comes in and I'm talking, he's just like turns around and walks out. He's like, she's doing her thing. Let me just leave her alone. So that's kind of, what I'm doing, but I'm going to attach some of the journal prompts so you can use these to speak out loud to yourself. You can go on a walk and answer them in your head. You can speak them out loud. You can write them down, whatever feels good for you. And I'm also going to attach at least one link to a guided meditation from someone that I resonate with. This is actually where my journey started, was through the Manifestation Babe. And I really connected with her, and I caught her pretty early on, I feel like, in her journey through this. And I've been watching her for, I would say, 8 to 9 years probably. And where she started and where she has gone has been insane, y'all. It has been crazy. And so I resonate with her. And so I'm going to attach one of her guided meditations that goes through, it's a what does she call it? Whatever. It's a forgiveness meditation. And, it is like a cord cutting, and it's very woo woo. I've already told you guys I'm very into the spiritual. So if that's not for you, fine, move on. It doesn't matter. But you know what? It can't hurt. It can't hurt. I'm not asking you to convert spiritually or anything, but it's not so woo that it's telling you not to believe in something. It's just, everything in this world is energy. So first of all, that's science. Okay. That's not woo woo. That's absolutely science. So this is based on science, that because everything is made up of energy, including us, right? We are all atoms. Everything that makes up anything is an atom, and that's all energy. And so it stands to reason that when you come into contact with people throughout the day and throughout your life, you connect energies, right? And sometimes those energies don't disconnect. And a cord cutting ceremony just allows you to cut that energy from that source. And so, thinking back on working at the place that we all worked, that's a fantastic meditation for all of us to do and cut cords with the energy of what does not serve us any longer, right? Whether it's a person, a place, a thing, whatever it is, that's a great thing. So I'm going to attach that guided meditation in the show notes, and really encourage you to do that. And, really just thought that I wanted to speak with you about this, and I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that you realized that what you thought you were, what you thought your identity was, what you thought your self-worth was, that's not it. That it's not just that, there's so much more to you. We are an ever-evolving world. You are an ever-evolving person. And there's so many options out there for you. And if you are in fact someone who has been let go by a company, or, I'm just going to say for the people that, I worked with locally that were let go, that if you are still struggling and trying to find what it is that you're meant to do, or just find a job, okay, let's just break it really way down. Just know that there are, in fact, other places out there to work that aren't toxic, okay, and that aren't going to condition you the way that somewhere else may have conditioned you. And if you are not looking to go back into that sort of job, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to go try other things, because there's so many things out there, so many options out there on ways for you to work and to possibly help others if that's what you want to do. Other ways for you to make money. And that is a fact. I'm literally here to tell you, I am proof to sit here and tell you that there are other ways out there for you to make money without a degree. Okay. That was my number one sticking point. Like, I was never going to go back to school. I hated it. I hated the traditional college. I hated it because I couldn't see myself really ever using that or understanding how that was going to make me better and more productive, or more, better a fit for a particular job. But I love learning. I found out that I do love learning. I love learning all these new things. I've learned so many new things over the last year, over the last 5 years. It's insane. I know so much about business practices. I understand so much about the marketing piece of it, the digital marketing piece of it, the coaching piece. I mean, there's just email, all of it. Okay. I love to learn. And so there's so many ways out there that you can, in fact, make money while you are enjoying being at home, like I am right now, my little office, my podcast setup. I keep evolving it. There's so much more out there for you than what it was that you had and what you thought your identity was attached to. So let's work on deconditioning this and feeling those feelings and moving past that. And if you need any help with that, I'm here for you. I am completely here for you. I love one-on-ones. I love to sit and talk. We can do a phone call. We can do a FaceTime. We can go sit and have coffee. I love that. And so, I am best probably in one-on-one situations because of my introverted nature. And so if that is something that you hear this resonates with you, you still have questions, you don't quite understand, or you just need to talk to somebody and talk through it, I'm here for you. Reach out to me. You can find me on all my socials. I'll list all of them in the show notes. You can watch this on YouTube. There's so many ways to reach out to me. And I hope sincerely that if you need that you do, because I would love to sit and talk with you and help you through this. So I hope that you got something out of that. I hope you enjoyed this. I really wanted to talk about it. It hit me very strong today, and I'm glad that I was able. I appreciate you for listening to let me get that out of myself, because that was healing for me. So I love you guys so much, and I appreciate it. So I will see you guys next week. Thank y'all so much for tuning in this week. I appreciate you guys so much. You just do not know how much I appreciate you guys listening. If this episode resonated with you, please consider giving me a rate and review if you felt called to do so. It really does help push my podcast out to other women just like yourself who maybe need to hear this particular episode. So I thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys soon. Mwah.